Well, good evening, everyone out there that is coming to this live stream. And my name is Kelly Merbler. If we haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, I am so excited to be here with you this evening for a special Courageous Conversations. This is part of my Coffee with Kelly tribe group, and we will be talking tonight. We're doing an evening conversation because I felt this conversation needed to be heard, and hopefully we could have more people part of this conversation and tuning in. But the reason I started Courageous Conversations was really just talking and learning so much about people out there in the world and some of the pain and suffering that they have endured or challenges that they have gone through in their life that have really inspired me to want to help tell their story more and help the message get out with different areas of pain that has turned into passion or purpose per se. So I'm so glad that you're here with us, and I've got a very special guest that has decided to join me for this courageous conversation tonight, and I want to bring her in and introduce you to her. And a little bit about how I met Audre'L just a few weeks ago. I just recently met Audre'L, and we were at, it was a meeting for nonprofits, I remember, and she had come to one of my events and connected with me afterwards. And just listening to her story and what she shared with me about what she did with turning her pain into purpose really made me say, I want others to know Audre'L, and I want others to hear what she has turned that pain into because of what she has gone through. And sometimes we have to think about that, and hindsight sometimes is 2020, right? Where when we're in the middle of something that's so challenging and so many experiences where in life we don't see what it might become because we're in the thick of it and we're really being challenged in those moments that we've been given in our life. Well, I love what Audre'L has done because of what she went through. And first and foremost, I want to start by saying that this month, most of you may not even know this, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I personally didn't know that myself. And when she brought that to my attention, I said, you know what, you're right. I didn't even know that was the awareness this month or one of the awarenesses. And so, Audre'L, I am so happy to have you here. Thank you for joining my Coffee with Kelly platform. And please introduce yourself to my tribe and my audience.
Thank you so much, Kelly. My name is Audre'L Davis Jones. I am an ordained reverend. I come from a background of haute couture designer. I worked well with my hands far as creativity. I have five brothers, two sisters, big family, but yet and still, I have so many different aspects of me writing. I'm an author of battle scars of emotions, divine healing from the scars of life. And it's just pretty much my personal testimony of how I was able to come into walking away instead of being driven or willed away, if you will. And I mean, so many people in this domestic abuse arena do not live to tell their story. So I am grateful that I am an author, write poems, playwright. I just like to do a lot of creative things. That is pretty much, I have two beautiful children, adult children, and one granddaughter. I am just excited because what they have gone through was just as tragic as what I have gone through. And hopefully you'll get a chance to hear some of those things.
No, it's so good to have you here, Audre'L, and would love for you to share what's the best way for you to share? You come in and you tell us what domestic violence month really means to you as a person that has lived through it.
Well, actually, I was a daddy's girl, and I never thought something like this would happen to me in a million years. Domestic abuse for me started way before I even knew the title and knew what it was called. And it was through molestation and also being abused by family members. So, with that, getting married, I was trying to run away from all of the ugliness of my childhood to getting married at 16. And I was pregnant first, 16, and then I got married. Well, when I had my son, that is when the beating started. And it seemed like it never stopped and it got worse. It kept getting worse. And one of the main I'm trying to be careful on how I'm saying it, but one of the main events when it first happened to me, I was so shocked and didn't know what to do. I was in a car and I was beaten so bad because I lived a long way from my mother and we were up on that weekend. When I realized he was trying to see his ex girlfriend, I called her a name. And when I knew anything, he pulled the car over, put it in gear, and just started beating me. I was trying to escape, and the only way that I could escape it was in the back seat, and I rolled all over my son, and it was just one big mess. The next day, I could not see nothing but eyelashes, just little hairs. My eyes were swollen so my lip touched my nose.
Mm.
So the definition of domestic abuse was beaten into me for me to really see it. And back in that time, it was called the battered women syndrome or the battered woman syndrome. I went to call my mother after that to let her know what happened. And he says, "No, we're going for ice cream." So how could I eat ice cream when my lip was touching my nose? So
Mm.
the definition of domestic violence just came to a point of just overtaking me for me to just walk into it and to see. So to navigate out of it and to navigate on how I was going to go forward from that point on was really something that I had no idea. Out of the blue, whatever hit him, he hit me. So if he was upset at work or whatever the case is. So at 17, I'm still not knowing all that I felt that I needed to know about domestic violence. But that was my introduction to this horrible thing.
Mm. I I'd love to understand more of what are the statistics on domestic violence in the US today? Like what have you learned and what can you share with the audience? Like what exists out there?
Well, one of the things that is saddened, it is just that it is perpetually disproportionate. More
Mm.
Black women are abused, killed, femicide than the white counterpart. And that is really sad to say. Also, there's 93% of the women that you know they're going to come in contact with some type of abuse or some type of ill treatment. There's 63% of women, wives, who are killed on a daily basis. 23 a minute, men 1 in 7, women 1 in 4. And it is just really something that I did not want my daughter to be part of the statistics that was actually out there. And we have to just really realize that now that's in the media about domestic violence, it's bringing some of the attention. But I was angry for the same reason when O.J. Simpson and Nicole Simpson encountered the domestic abuse, because it was so much attention brought to that case when I knew that there were women being killed daily, black women, or broken up, beaten, shot. It is just so much. It is 1 in 4 women that actually would die at the hands of their abusers. And that is one of the things that I feel that is very sad and is very traumatic. And you have 4 in 10 men. Now that we are looking at a whole new era of how we go about things, but the threats, there's so much with that. Women, femicide, are most likely to die than men in
Mhm.
this domestic abuse arena.
So it happens more in women, but it's definitely I don't ever hear it talked about in men too. So that's interesting that you bring that up. Now, I'm curious too, why is it not talked about so much in your experience?
In my case, and I would say in the black home,
Yeah.
there have always been the hush hush. Let's not talk about it. What goes on in this home, stay in this home. Or, for instance, the shame. You always look at it as something you have done, realizing that you cannot change anyone, but the shame, and no one wants to walk around feeling shameful. No one wants to, and they deny it. So a lot of times it is women will deny that it even happened and just say, oh, it was just a little push. Oh, he just cursed me out just a little bit. Or the kids was not harmed. The denial. Economic. Economic. People stay there because of the economics, or you don't hear about it because they don't want to change a lifestyle. So it is something that in a lot of the black communities, what goes on in this house stays there. And then there are the generationals, not just in one race or another, because what is so detrimental about domestic violence, it is across the economic spectrum, it is across the racial spectrum, it is across social spectrum, educational spectrum. So it doesn't matter if you are highly educated or if you never did have a degree or not. It is just something that we have to recognize. And one of the things that I always say, we ask women, why do they stay, or why did this happen? We need to start twisting and turning the conversation to say, why did he hit me?
Mm.
Why did he become so angry? And not something to do with anger management, but complete control. And that's what that is the center wheel of domestic violence, is control, and someone that's being so obsessed with you. And the violence does not even start until it's time to you, when you decide to walk out. That is when the violence, because before that you have gotten all the red flags that we normally miss, that the name calling, all of the different anger. He walks around hitting the wall. He walks around or don't want you to be with anyone. Or he uses all kind of coercions to say, oh, we don't need to be around family. We want to just get together, and I want to learn you more, and I want you to learn me more. That is deception of being isolated from your loved ones and your friends. So there's just so many different levels that we don't look at until it's too late. You look up and he's stalking you. You look up and he's somewhere where you thought that he was in another place. He's right there watching your every move. So those are concerning red flags that we really should be aware of. Uh, I don't let any, and there are triggers now. So I don't let anyone feel that they can control my whereabouts or what is it that I want to say, where I want to go. And it's just because of what I've been through. That was really so traumatic in that case. And one of the things also that we look at, the statistics, is that firearms are used to it mostly in killing, the femicide, which is dealing with women. And with that firearm, any type of weapon in the house, it is very dangerous. But most women are killed through firearms.
Hmm. How many years did this go on with you, Audrielle?
I always want to say my first marriage, I was 26 when I left, and it started at 16.
Well,
After that, there were other relationships, and they were abusive as well
hmm.
in different ways. But I tell you one thing, that now I can truly say it has been 30 years or more that I have not had to go into a fight or anything like that. Now, however, this is off the subject as it relates to my son. My son was shot in college, his sophomore year in college, and he now is mentally ill. And one of the things that stood out to me is that one day he came approaching me to attack me. He says, everyone that you had in your life beat you, and I'm getting ready to beat you. That stuck with me. That stuck with me because when I was able to see the damage of what abuse have done, not just to me, but to my children, adult, he's good and grown now, but to see that is something that's still resonating in his mind, that he remembers that everyone, and with that, after being separated, I really kind of was very careful of allowing people to come close to me because I didn't trust any man around my daughter. And I did not want to also uh, keep my children involved in this cycle. And it is a cycle. And the cycle, it is so hard. And you asked about the silence. People does not speak up. And it's because of all of the underlying reasons of shame and self-esteem, and they lost their voice. However, one of the main things that I am really concerned about is being able to have a voice,
Hmm.
to speak what it is that you need to speak, to share with people who you need to share. And even with me working with teenage girls, I tell those parents, if your child say someone touching them, believe them and get out of that relationship. But we have a tendency to still pull our children in these relationships because of survival sake, economical standpoint, and out of just the mere fact of making sure that I don't look like
Hmm.
what I've been through, type of thing.
Hmm. My heart just breaks that you experienced this life for so long, and it's amazing that you are sharing this story today, because I bet many times you thought you don't know how much longer you have to live some days. And
Exactly.
the fear that must have been within your mind, constantly worrying about your own life, that someone that you loved and thought loved you would do that.
Right. And we go in, and I say we, but I'm speaking of me as a victim.
Yeah.
I am a strong survivor, but me as the victim went in with this. I could fix him. I could love this hate out of him. I am superwoman. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I don't make the mistake. I am just going to do everything so perfect. I told you that I made him clothes. I made him, he would come in and say, "You didn't make me a pair of pants tonight." He would put the pants on and go out and leave me home.
Mm.
I tried to do everything right. And see, we have to start conversations with our daughters early. We need to let them know that it is not about someone taking care of you. It is not about you trying to be so miss perfect. And one of the things that no matter what you do, you cannot fix another human being.
Mm.
But that human being have a tendency to make you feel that it's always your fault. And it was always my fault, he said. So he hit me, no matter what it was. He hit me, and then he'll come back and say, "You made me do this. You should have not said that. You should have not did that." So at one point, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything, didn't say anything. Just let him hit me. Just let him kick me. Just let him do whatever. And then I said, no, I'm going to fight back. And one day, and this is very hard, and I always tell people, don't judge me when my mask come off, because there's so much ugliness in this domestic abuse,
Mm.
domestic violence. This one time I said to him, if you ever hit me, and I was a fighter in schools, a scrapper, Liberty City girl,
Mm.
and I said, if you hit me, I will cut you from ear to ear, because it was no way out, I felt. It was to a point. And this is where domestic abuse, domestic violence will put you. It will push you to a closet or in a doorway that you never thought that you would go. You never thought that you had that type of violence in you because someone is beating
Mm.
you. And that particular one particular day, I wanted to talk with him. He stayed out all night with his younger brother. And I said, please, let's just talk. And he was a wrestler. And so he would move. I knew some of the moves. When you shift to the left, he's going to move to the right, or whatever the case is. And that particular day, when he put all his weight on me, I eased him off until my hands was extended, because I did not want to fight. I just
Mm.
wanted to talk. I wanted him to listen to me. But it's to a point when you get in those type of relationships, no matter what you say, he doesn't want to listen. And you cannot make that happen. I've learned that through the years.
Mhm.
When my arms was extended all the way out, he hit me. And my back was to the door. And guess what? You know those cartoons when you see the little Tweety birds? The little
Yep.
Tweety birds in the cartoon, they're for
Yep.
real. They are for real. I saw the Tweety birds, the little stars came up and everything,
Oh.
And so that's how hard this man hit me. But when I shook it off, went back into the house and came back out, he was holding a chair. And he said, stop playing, go on now. I says, no, who playing? And when I knew anything, he was dropped to the ground. I had opened up his thigh from his knee up to his thigh, to his hip bone. And then his mother and father came out. And you know what they said to me?
Mm.
Why did you hurt my son? And
Mm.
I told them, please move out the way, let me get him to the hospital. I was ready that day. This is how violence will take you. And this is what I'm saying. It gets real ugly. So, people, yes, I'm a reverend, and people will say, oh my goodness, you did that? You said that? How did you manage to even go through that? But it will push you to a point of fight or flight. So
Mhm.
I tell anyone that it is not pretty, it is very ugly, and I thank God that that particular incident would have made me snap, which made me snap to kill him. I
Mm.
pray and I'm grateful that he did not die from my hands, from my abuse, but it will turn you to a level
Mm.
where the victim becomes the abuser because of trying to protect yourself from it. And it is such a thin line of either being killed or not. And so many women don't live to tell their just this close stories. And
Mm.
it's just something that when I look at that and I think about it and it brings me chills and I'm like, oh my Lord, I almost hurt somebody. I almost, because it was just not something that I just woke up one morning and said it's going to happen. But I know that the push and the level and people.
Hmm. Oh, unfortunately, I know there was a storm. If anybody's watching, Audre'L told me that there was a storm that was coming. So I have a feeling that is exactly what happened. She said she was worried that potentially her power would go out. So we may have lost her, but I am going to bring her back in. I see her right now. So hold on one second.
Is
Audre'L,
she
there
telling
you
you?
are. I
I'm
told everybody.
sorry.
So you're good. You're good.
Yes, but one of the things that I try to share when he is abusing you, when you see the red signs, get out, stay out, and plan your way out because it is something that affect not just you but your children and on how you go into other relationships as well. I just thank God how he divinely healed me. And when my book, and I want to just say this, with my book, Battle Scars of Emotion, Divine Healing from the Scars of Life, I asked my bishop at that time to do the forward. And when he read it, he says, I could not put the book down. And I wanted it from a man perspective. And he says, I could not put the book down, but I do not agree on your title. And that's how I end up with a subtitle, Divine Healing from the Scars of Life. As to when we go through so much in life, you cannot do this on your own. And for anyone that come to me and say, "Oh my goodness, uh, you did this," or "How did you do this?" By the grace of God. And that's one of the things that I really want people to know, how God will lead you and guide you and protect you during and in times that are so difficult that you don't see a way out. And with that, that is how I was able to start breaking myself away from this violence. And
Mm.
it was horrific. As you can see, it was really bad. It had gotten to the point, and that's what the violence about. But the red flags, all the signs, and see, I was trying to fix it. But Dr. Phil said something many years ago, and I share this in every speech almost. Get yourself a pet. Get a dog. Get a cat. Get something. Get a fish. Don't try to change anybody. Don't try
Yeah,
to stay there when you know you're not being treated right. When you
absolutely.
know someone is talking to you in a condescending manner and it's not right. And to the point that it breaks you down. It breaks your self-esteem down. It makes you lose who you are as a woman, as a person. So yeah, get a dog, get a cat, because you cannot change no one. And that is something that I had to learn, because I tried to think that, oh, I'll love him more than his mother loved him. How could that ever be? But that's just the foolish thinking that
Mhm.
we teach our daughters that, oh, you're supposed to be a housekeeper, you're supposed to keep the house clean, you're supposed to do all of these little nicety things. And guess what? It all boils down to you realizing when it's time to go and knowing that you
Mhm.
cannot control someone, or you will be
True.
on the other side of
Yeah.
the spectrum as an abuser.
That's a really good point, because just in life in general, in many situations, is you can't change someone else. The only person you can change is yourself, and taking
Right.
yourself out of that situation of whatever it is you're dealing with. And that's what you did. And I think it's so powerful, Audre'L, what you've done based on what you went through. And I want you to tell the audience, because of what you went through, what have you created? And today is the launch, right? Is this month the launch for
It's,
your? So I want you to
yes.
share, if you would share for a few minutes, because of this pain, what passion it turned into, and what you're doing to serve others that are experiencing domestic violence or in that situation that may be watching. So, what are you doing with what you went through?
Oh my goodness. What I am doing and what I have been doing, first of all, has been grassroots. It's just been this lone ranger of of touching and embracing others and teaching them what they should not do and what they should look for. One of the things that I'm so proud of that we are launching this month, the entire month of October, is Battle Scars Ministries Inc. Foundation. I am a 501c3 foundation. I am so excited about that. And what it is, we are launching to raise money for the thrift shop. The thrift shop is our central hub of BSMI, where we are a resource center and we are a service center for those that are in need. And the thrift shop is a start over place. It's a starting place. It's where we will do the forums and the workshops and everything. And it's a safe haven where they can come because so many women have had to run away and did not have clothes, just the clothes on their back. And in my case, in one instance, I didn't have on any clothes because he ripped them off. So with Battle Scars, it is based around what my experience, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. And I always says that the passion that I have for domestic violence came about because it was beaten into me.
Mm.
So yes, I already know the purpose. I already know that there is a divine purpose here that I will be able to help some other ones. And I look in it from a different perspective because I was there. I was a victim and I try not to pass no kind of judgment on anyone because I know it can happen to with and to the best of us. So Battle Scars Ministries, the vision that I have is to educate, to elevate, to encourage, and to motivate and inspire and advocate for women who are going through this very same thing, because just a kind word, just some way to let them know that they are beautiful, to let them know what shines inside of them. My logo is the butterfly with stained glass wings. And I love it because we all walk around with some broken pieces somewhere. And some don't want to talk about it, and some do, but some of them know that there's some broken pieces. But when you put these pieces together, they create their own different color and they create a whole unique self. And that is what I love about the butterfly with Battle Scars Ministries. We are breaking the silence and the cycle. We are intentional. We are committed in breaking that silence. That's the B and the S. And through motivation and inspiration, we want to inspire these women to go above. And also, the thrift shop will be a place where we will actually have forums and teach some life skills, sewing, if you will, writing, and the thrift store. What better way to learn a new job,
Yeah.
how to be of service to someone else other than the thrift shop. And that's what we are doing, and that's the purpose of the launch all year, all month long, is to raise funds so that we can get that open and get it functioning in the way that we would like for it to be done.
Mm. Audre'L, I feel your love. I feel your passion, and oh, it's just your heart lights up, and you've got comments coming in of it's a powerful discussion. Amen, and other things that people are just encouraged by your message, Audre'L. So I'm
I
so
agree.
glad that you could start getting the word out
Oh
just to help let others know that there are places that you can get help, and you're someone
yeah,
that lived through it. You had experienced it, so you can
yeah,
relate to maybe the questions they're having or the doubts they're having or the feelings that they're experiencing, and that's so powerful. And the audience is also saying that they really feel. One of my friends, Milagros, who's in Miami, feels that we need to have more of these conversations with our
Yes.
young ones. That's so
Yes.
important.
And
So
that's one of
important.
the things that is one of the things that, even coming up and working through the community theater and doing different things, teaching them how valuable they are. I did not allow my daughter to go out of my house without me telling her how beautiful she was. I didn't
Mm,
want no other man or some stranger to say, "Oh, you so pretty," and giving her that false sense of hope. We need some serious conversations, and that is a passion, to make sure that we stop that cycle. We have to stop it, and it starts and it ends with us, the individuals. Because
mhm.
if you do not have a conversation with your daughter, guess what? Somebody else out there, they're gonna tell her how pretty she is, and gonna win her over, and have a conversation that you're gonna regret.
It's
And
true.
this is what I do tell parents. It is, we have to start at home, start breaking some of these generational hush hush and taboo things, that what goes on in the house stays in the house. I told my daughter, if somebody touched her wrong, she better scream, she better run, she better kick, she better tell somebody. Keep on running until somebody listen to you.
That's right.
Because what it does as adults, some, and I thank God that He was with and inside of me, so that I cannot sit up and just fester on my violence. And I wanted to turn it into making awareness, speaking up for those. I did not bring it to the table, but I wish I did, and I did not have permission, so I guess I should not have. But it's a one person that I used to mentor, and I begged her not to go back to her husband. That's the mask that I wear, and because when she went back, he killed her.
Mm,
So there's so much and so many layers, and the conversation is something to be had. Not just during the month of October, when it's hidden in between all the other things that's going on. Not to say that they're not important, but to say that domestic abuse and violence, the domestic violence and abuse, goes on 365 days a year, and you have people being killed and beat up and abused every minute of that day. So we have to look at things differently. We have to also have a conversation with our boys. Not no boys will be boys, but my brothers, my nephews, my son, even though he wanted to come at me after he went through what he went through with, let me tell you, I would not allow them to talk down to a woman, mistreat them, or call them any kind of names in my presence. And that's how we break the cycle. That's a conversation to be had, so that
mhm,
not just boys being boys and boys going to do that and say certain things, it is no excuse at all. But when we teach them how to love up on the
mm.
woman, the sisters, and who they have, it says a lot. And it also I tell people all the time, a man on how he treat his mama.
Oh, true. That's absolutely. I agree with you on that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And who makes you a better woman than the one that had it? Okay, so if he
Yep.
mistreat his mama, he gonna mistreat you. Feet don't fail me now. It's time to get on out the way. I tell you, it is just really something, and this is what I'm saying about the domestic violence, with having so many different layers. And I can go to every corner based on the experience that I had. But back to Battle Scars Ministries, is a place for resources, is a safe place. And it is a place that will actually work with victims. I want to say women, but victims on all levels, of getting them to the right place, to let them know that they are not alone. We are not a shelter, but we will actually, we act as a starting over place.
Mm,
And that's what I like about it, because it wasn't around when I was there. And we did not have the on the run fun,
mm,
where you are in a strange place and you need to get back home, or you need to be able to be put into a hotel to get away from it, especially when the shelters are full. So we have our work cut out for us, and we are looking for all the support. You can email me, or you can go to my website, battlescarsministries.com, or you can go with battlescarsministries@gmail.com. You can also Cash App, PayPal, whatever the case is, just help, because it may not be you. And this is one of the things that I feel that is so sad about it, Kelly, that so many people say, I have no tolerance for that. I cannot support your cause, because I don't see how women are stupid enough to stay in relationships. And that brings me to that white elephant, or that big elephant in the room, because of why women stay. But one thing for sure, it may not be you that you will be helping, but it may be someone that you know, your mother, your daughter, your granddaughter, and you don't want those things to happen. Look at what is out in the media now. I feel for that family,
Oh
but
yeah.
I also know by all aspects of it, I feel what they feel. And it is just something that we just really cannot overlook. So yes, I have people that's very judgmental, and want to say, well, I can't support you for that. But just think, you never know if it's going to be someone you love, or maybe your daughter or someone. And you're going to wish that you sent them through my door so that I can talk to them. I'm going to love up on them, but I'm going to talk to them too. And I'm going to let them know to get away. Feet, don't fail me now. It is time to go. Nothing we can do or say to change an individual. And we can no longer make excuses for our boys who come into men, say they have anger management. It's nothing about that. It's about control and obsession. And we have to have another conversation and teach them those boundaries.
I love your message and your mission. And the name of your book is Battle Scars of Emotions. So thank you for sharing a copy with me. So I have this, and I'm going to read your book. And you shared how people can find you. So I put that in the chat as well. Any parting words you'd like to leave with the audience that we can close out with?
Yes, I would like to say, be the best that you are, the best person that you are. We all have some brokenness. Pick up that glass and make the most beautiful butterfly that you can, and let's keep on keeping on. And we there is so much work to be done, but know that when you cannot change someone, so that means you cannot take that blame of what someone have done to you as a weight to be added to you. That you just know who you are and your purpose in life to share and tell someone. So lot silence kill. So please speak up, stand up, and let's go head on and get this thing together so that we can have another conversation of saving lives.
Audrey, thank you for your courage. I really admire that you came out and just not knowing who was listening. Like anybody in the world could be listening right now. So
Yes.
just thank you for your courage. I'm just I just love your spirit and how
Thank
you
you so much, Kelly.
took what you went through and turned it into something good for others. That's such a
Yes.
beautiful blessing to the world. Thank you so much. And people
Thank
are putting
you.
butterflies in the comments. Like, I love it. I love it. I love it. It's
Yes,
beautiful.
indeed.
So,
Yes,
Audre'L,
indeed.
thanks
Make
for
yourself
coming
a
to
beautiful
Coffee with
butterfly with that
Kelly.
brokenness.
It's beautiful. Thank you for coming to Coffee with Kelly, an evening conversation, courageous conversations in the evening.
Thank you
And
for
if you
having me,
haven't,
Kelly.
of course. And if anybody has never been to Coffee with Kelly, we host every Friday from 8 to 9 a.m. on Zoom. So you are all welcome. You can find Coffee with Kelly if you go to my website, www.kellymerblerco.com, and just click on Coffee with Kelly. And everyone around the world is invited. Tomorrow, we are going to kick off Friday with a Halloween themed party and have a little laughs and have a little fun. So,
Oh, yes.
Audre'L, Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless your heart.
You
And
too.
thank you
Thank you.
all for coming and listening, and help Audre'L spread the word. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Bye, Kelly.
Bye.